Maybe it's been a long day. The room is quiet now, and the night has settled like a soft blanket around you. Your breath slows. The air feels warm and still. You can rest here, safe, unhurried, as the world outside fades into silence. Somewhere beyond the walls of this small room, the universe is still awake. Light continues its slow journey, folding through the gentle curves of space and time. Gravity hums softly in the dark, carrying the memory of stars that once burned bright. Tonight, you'll drift through those layers, through light, through silence, through the quiet rhythm of existence itself. Let your body rest and your thoughts drift. The stars are still awake. Close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. Far beyond the quiet horizon, light still travels through the dark, soft, patient, unhurried. What seems like emptiness is never truly empty. Space is not a void, but a living field, a silent ocean of invisible energy where matter and light move, ripple, and breathe. Under the weight of stars and galaxies, this great fabric bends and flexes, holding the memory of everything that has ever existed. Astronomers believe the universe itself is a vast web, a cosmic structure of filaments made of dark matter and energy, stretching across billions of light years. Every atom, every photon, every wandering particle leaves behind a subtle trace, a ripple that folds into this field. Even in what we call vacuum, there is motion, quantum fields humming, tiny fluctuations rising and falling like breaths beneath the surface of still water. Space, in its silence, is alive with possibilities. When light escapes a star, it does not move through nothing. It glides through the gentle tension of space-time. The invisible geometry Einstein once described, where gravity is not a force, but the curve of existence itself. The light bends slightly as it passes near massive objects, tracing the contours of this hidden structure, like a ribbon following the curve of a slow current. To drift through space is to move along these silent threads, each one holding together the rhythm of the cosmos. In the deepest reaches between galaxies, space is thin and cold, yet full of subtle echoes. Waves of radiation left over from the birth of the universe, what scientists call the cosmic microwave background. These faint signals are not gone. They are memories, traveling endlessly, carrying the story of when time itself was young. Space keeps them, the way sand keeps the outline of a wave that once touched it. Gravity, too, is part of this weave. Wherever matter gathers, a star, a planet, a grain of dust, the field folds inward, shaping the pathways that light and energy will follow. Nothing stands alone. Everything rests upon this unseen web, the quiet connection between what is and what has been. The universe is not expanding into emptiness. It is stretching its own fabric, as if breathing in slow motion. So when you look up at the night sky and see the spaces between the stars, you are not looking at nothing. You are looking at the very structure that allows everything else to exist. A canvas woven from motion, from light, from the whisper of energy itself. In the stillness between stars, even emptiness remembers motion. In the quiet rhythm of the cosmos, nothing truly falls. Every world, every moon, every drifting fragment of dust moves not because it is pulled, but because space itself is shaped into curves that guide its motion. What we call gravity is not a force reaching out from one object to another. It is the bending of the fabric that holds them both. When a planet moves around a star, it is simply following the shape that space-time has drawn beneath it, tracing an invisible valley carved by mass and time. Einstein once imagined this not as a tug-of-war between bodies, but as geometry in motion. A heavy object, like the sun, presses into space-time, curving it ever so slightly, and nearby objects glide along those curves. The Earth, for instance, does not fall toward the sun. It moves freely through the contour of space-time, looping endlessly around that soft depression like a marble circling a hollow in silk. The motion feels effortless because it is. Gravity does not demand. It invites. When light passes near something massive, it too bends, following the same geometry. Astronomers have seen distant galaxies appear warped, their light stretched into luminous arcs by the gravity of other galaxies in front of them. This phenomenon, called gravitational lensing, is a window into the curve of reality itself. The light is not being pulled. It is tracing the outline of the universe's own design. Every photon, like a careful traveler, honors the shape of existence. The deeper the curve, the slower time becomes. Near a massive body, a star, a planet, or a black hole, clocks tick more slowly than in the open reaches of interstellar space. Gravity and time are entwined, partners in a dance too vast to see but easy to feel. Every step of that dance shapes the way planets orbit, the way light travels, the way reality unfolds around mass and motion. Even here on Earth, you live within those curves. When you drop a stone, it does not fall because the planet pulls it. The stone follows the shortest path through space-time, one that happens to lead downward along the gentle slope created by Earth's mass. Gravity is not a chain, but a whisper of direction. Everything that moves is simply responding to the contours beneath it, surrendering to the elegance of the universe's design. The more one listens to this truth, the softer the universe begins to sound. It is not chaos, nor force, nor conflict. It is shape, rhythm, and flow. Every orbit is a sentence in the language of curvature. Every movement, from the swing of a pendulum to the turning of galaxies, is a note in the same silent melody. To move is to follow the shape of existence, and in doing so, to belong entirely to it. Across the vast silence of the cosmos, everything feels the presence of everything else. Planets turn, stars drift, galaxies weave past one another, all guided by the same invisible field that holds them in quiet harmony. This is gravity, the patient thread that connects all motion, the rhythm that allows the universe to move as one. It has no voice, no light of its own, yet its influence touches every atom, every beam, every breath. Even light, swift and free, bends to its shape, curving gently through the folds of space as if bowing to an ancient design. Einstein showed that gravity is not a force, but a conversation between matter and space-time. Wherever mass gathers, the fabric of the universe curves. Wherever it curves, everything nearby moves in response. It is a continuous dialogue, unfolding across eternity. The light that bends around a star, the earth that drifts around the sun, the clusters of galaxies slowly spiraling in the deep, all are part of the same sentence, spoken in the language of gravity. Nothing escapes this conversation, not even silence itself. Astronomers have seen the proof written across the sky. When light from a distant galaxy passes near another, its path warps into arcs and halos. Gravitational lensing, a reminder that connection exists even across billions of light years. The photons that began their journey before humanity existed now arrive bent but unbroken, carrying within them the imprint of every mass they passed. The universe remembers where each of them has been. Perhaps that is what gravity truly is. Not a force, but a memory. It is the way the cosmos holds onto itself, the way one thing acknowledges another. It binds without chains, sustains without demand. Every object, from the smallest particle to the largest star, is held in place by the same quiet promise to remain part of the whole. In this stillness, motion and rest become indistinguishable, both expressions of belonging. If you listen closely to the quiet between stars, you might sense it, not as sound, but as presence. The universe is never empty. It hums softly with connection. Every orbit, every beam of light, every grain of dust drifting through the dark is an echo of that binding. The stillness that surrounds us is not absence, but unity, the breath of a cosmos that refuses to let anything truly stand alone. In that realization, peace takes form. To exist is to be held. To move is to remain within the same vast embrace. And in the deep, patient silence of the universe, connection is the gravity that keeps everything together. Steady, endless, and kind. Somewhere in the quiet dark, a single beam of light begins its journey. It leaves the surface of a star without hesitation, carrying with it the warmth of fusion and the memory of the moment it was born. From that instant onward, it will never slow down, never rest, never turn back. Light moves at a constant speed, about 300,000 kilometers every second, the same in every direction, no matter who watches or where they stand. It is the only traveler that never grows tired, the universe's most faithful messenger. Scientists once thought that light, like sound or wind, might depend on the medium it passed through. But experiments proved otherwise. Whether it moves from a distant galaxy to Earth or bounces between mirrors in a laboratory, its pace never changes. Time stretches and space bends to keep its rhythm constant. To measure light is to measure the heartbeat of reality itself. Every second, billions of waves ripple outward, crossing one another in the vast silence, yet never colliding. A choreography too perfect for any orchestra to play. Each beam carries a message from the past. The starlight you see tonight left its home long before humans learned to dream of space. Some of it began its journey before the Earth even formed, traveling through emptiness for billions of years just to reach the brief surface of your eye. When you look up, you are not seeing stars as they are. You are seeing them as they were. Every shimmer in the sky is a window into time, a fragment of history still unfolding across the dark. Even after a star dies, its light continues on, crossing the expanding fabric of space-time. It passes through dust clouds and galaxies, bends around invisible masses, and keeps going. Indifferent, unwavering. The night sky is full of ghosts of light, memories that refuse to fade. In their glow, the past becomes a living thing, flickering softly against the edge of eternity. Light connects everything that has ever existed. It moves without stopping, but it also listens to gravity, to distance, to the quiet pull of time. Every photon is a messenger between what was and what is. When it finally touches something, a mirror, a sea, an eye, it delivers its story and disappears, becoming part of the world it once only illuminated. And so, the next time you see the faint shimmer of a distant star, remember that it is not just light you are seeing. It is time itself, still traveling, still remembering. Light never stops because it carries everything that time forgets. A silent memory, moving forever through the dark. There is a quiet illusion we all share. The sense that time moves evenly, the same for everyone, everywhere. We set our clocks, mark our days, and trust that each second carries the same weight. But the universe does not keep time the way we do. To space and motion, time is fluid. It stretches and folds, slows and quickens, changing shape depending on how fast one moves or how deeply one stands within gravity's curve. What feels like now for one observer may already be the past for another. There is no single rhythm of the cosmos, only many overlapping beats. Scientists once imagined a thought experiment. 2 lightning bolts striking the ground at the same moment, one at the front of a passing train and one at the rear. To someone standing still beside the tracks, the bolts appear simultaneous, 2 flashes meeting the eyes at once. But to someone riding on the train, moving toward one bolt and away from the other, the light from each arrives at a different time. Which moment is real? The answer, Einstein said, is both. For time depends on where you are and how you are moving through space. This is the essence of relativity. There is no universal now. Each of us carries our own flow of moments, shaped by motion and distance. A satellite orbiting the Earth ticks slightly faster than a clock on the ground because it moves differently through the planet's gravity. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience time a fraction slower than those below. To them, the Earth spins a little faster. To us, they drift just outside the regular pulse of ours. The difference is almost invisible, yet it changes everything. Even the way our GPS satellites must account for the bending of time to tell us where we stand. In this gentle distortion lies one of the universe's most poetic truths. That time is personal. Each of us moves through it at our own pace, as though carried by separate streams that sometimes run side by side and sometimes drift apart. Your heartbeat, your breath, your memory of the day, all unfold along your private rhythm, intersecting with others, but never perfectly the same. When 2 people share a moment, it is not the same moment measured by clocks, but it feels whole because it is shared in meaning, not in seconds. Time's elasticity is what makes the universe feel alive. It gives each place, each person, each star its own tempo. A quasar flickers once every 1,000 years, while a photon lives for billions. Somewhere deep in the fabric of space-time, both rhythms coexist, blending into a single harmony, the way 2 waves cross the surface of a calm sea. To understand time is to accept that it has no single measure, only countless overlapping songs of motion. Perhaps that is why the present feels fleeting. It is not a fixed point, but a moving intersection of all that flows. You and I standing still or drifting apart, each inhabit our own unfolding of the same eternal moment. There is no one now, only many moments flowing quietly together. Time does not pass the same for everything. It bends, hesitates, and softens under the weight of gravity, as though it too can feel the pull of the stars. Near something massive, a planet, a star, or a black hole, time slows. Clocks placed in strong gravitational fields tick more slowly than those in open space, an effect measured with the precision of atomic clocks orbiting above the Earth. It is not a theory, but a quiet truth the universe has whispered into every experiment. Where gravity deepens, moments linger. Einstein's equations predicted this long before anyone could test it. He saw time not as an absolute flow, but as a dimension, woven into the same fabric as space. When that fabric curves, time curves with it. To stand near a massive object is to stand in a valley of space-time, where each tick of a clock stretches a little longer, where each second takes its time to be born. High above the Earth, time runs faster. Closer to the ground, it moves more slowly. Every satellite, every astronaut, every step upward from the planet's surface is a small act of moving through gradients of time. Even on Earth, this difference can be measured. Two atomic clocks, one placed at sea level and another atop a mountain, drift ever so slightly apart. The one closer to the center of gravity ticks more slowly, caught in the subtle pause of Earth's pull. To most of us, the difference is invisible, but to the universe, it matters. These tiny hesitations accumulate, forming the great choreography that keeps the cosmos balanced. The closer one approaches a black hole, the more profound this effect becomes. From far away, time near the event horizon seems to stop altogether. A beam of light, a falling star, a single atom, all appear frozen at the edge, caught in infinite suspense. But from the object's own view, everything continues as normal. Time flows. Only the outside world cannot follow. Gravity has folded the rhythm so tightly that distant observers can no longer see it move. It is as if time, near its own shadow, holds its breath. In this way, gravity teaches patience. It reminds us that not everything must rush forward. The stronger the pull, the slower the pace, as though the universe itself pauses to listen to what it has created. Every star, every planet, every passing beam of light moves within this quiet hierarchy of time, each keeping its own deliberate rhythm. Perhaps that is the most human thing about the cosmos, that even time, infinite and indifferent, knows when to slow down. Near the heart of gravity, seconds stretch like silk. Moments bloom in silence, and eternity folds softly into the present. The universe moves slowly enough for us to dream. In the beginning, there is only darkness, vast, quiet, and filled with the faintest whisper of potential. Through that stillness drifts a cloud of hydrogen gas, ancient and weightless, stretching across light years of emptiness. For millions of years, nothing happens. The cloud floats, shimmers, and breathes in silence. But slowly, gravity begins its quiet work. Each particle feels the pull of every other, a soft gathering of what was once scattered. What begins as dust becomes density. What was cold begins to warm. Astronomers call these regions nebulae, the cradles of stars. Inside them, gravity compresses hydrogen atoms closer and closer until the pressure and heat rise beyond imagination. At first, the change is invisible, hidden within the thick cloud. Then, somewhere deep in that mass, the temperature reaches 10 million degrees and something extraordinary happens. Two atoms of hydrogen fuse into one of helium. releasing light, pure, radiant, unstoppable. In that instant, a star is born. The darkness does not vanish. It glows from within. The same dust that once floated aimlessly now shines, sending ripples of light outward into the cosmic sea. Around it, the remaining gas begins to swirl and flatten into a disk. The seeds of planets, moons, and all that will one day orbit in its warmth. Each star carries the memory of its birth, the moment when gravity and fire agreed to share the same breath. This process is neither violent nor sudden when viewed through the eyes of the cosmos. It is slow, patient, inevitable, a rhythm that repeats across the galaxy. Even now, in the Orion Nebula, thousands of stars are forming within veils of gas, their light still trapped, their heat just beginning to rise. To look upon such a place is to witness creation in its gentlest form. Not an explosion, but a gathering. Not chaos, but focus. Perhaps all beginnings are like this. Thoughts too gather from scattered impressions, drawn together by unseen gravity until an idea ignites. The first spark of consciousness is no different from the first light of a star, both born from stillness, both carrying the promise of illumination. Creation, whether of a sun or a single thought, begins with patience. Every star that burns today reminds us that darkness itself is not empty, but waiting, that every quiet moment holds the potential to ignite. From a billion fragments of dust, a single light arises, and from that light, worlds will one day form and live and dream. The universe, in its calm wisdom, teaches that even silence can bloom into brilliance. From stillness, it learns how to burn. Once a star is born, its life becomes a slow and steady rhythm. A long inhale and exhale that lasts for millions, even billions of years. Deep within its heart, hydrogen continues to fuse into helium, releasing a constant stream of energy that pushes outward. At the same time, gravity presses inward, trying to collapse the star under its own weight. Between these two opposing forces, pressure and gravity, creation and collapse, the star finds its balance. It is in this equilibrium that a star truly lives. Every moment of its existence is a conversation between holding and releasing. The outward light resists the inward pull, and the result is harmony. Not stillness, but a stable, glowing tension. Scientists call this stage the main sequence, the longest and most peaceful part of a star's life. The Sun, our nearest star, is in this stage now, quietly sustaining itself as it has for 4.5 billion years. It neither burns too fast nor fades too soon. It endures by remaining patient. Inside, the fusion of atoms continues like a heartbeat. Hydrogen becomes helium. Helium will one day become carbon, and so on, in a slow transformation that keeps the star warm and luminous. The heat and light radiate outward across space, touching planets, moons, dust, everything within reach. The balance that keeps the star alive is delicate. If fusion increases, it swells and cools. If gravity gains strength, it contracts and warms again. The two forces adjust to each other endlessly, like the inhale and exhale of the cosmos. To watch a star is to witness the universe practicing patience. Its light reaches across unimaginable distances, and yet the star itself changes almost imperceptibly from one human lifetime to the next. It reminds us that endurance does not mean stillness. It means finding the rhythm that allows continuation. In that way, Stars are not so different from us. We too live in balance between giving and keeping, between movement and rest, between the need to shine and the need to hold something within. The light we see from the stars is both release and remembrance. It is what the star gives away to survive, and what remains of it long after the moment has passed. Every photon that leaves its surface is a small act of letting go, a gesture of faith that its energy will continue to matter somewhere else. In doing so, the star becomes both self-contained and infinite. Perhaps the quiet art of living is much the same. We burn not by consuming, but by balancing, by finding the line between the pressure that forms us and the energy that frees us. The stars teach us that being alive is a steady act of adjustment, not a single triumph. Each of them breathes light the way we breathe thoughts, expanding and contracting in rhythm with existence. Balance, after all, is the quiet art of being. Every light that burns must someday fade, though in the universe, fading is never truly an ending. When a star grows old, the delicate balance that sustained it begins to shift. The hydrogen in its core thins, the fusion slows, and gravity, ever patient, starts to win. The star expands into a red giant, its outer layers swelling like the slow breath of something remembering itself. For a while, it glows with greater beauty than ever before, larger, softer, and impossibly bright. Then the glow begins to loosen. The outer shells drift away into space, leaving behind a quiet core that still remembers the fire that once was. What happens next depends on the star's size. Smaller stars, like our sun, will gently release their outer layers, leaving behind a white dwarf, a crystal of pure density, glowing faintly in the dark. Heavier stars collapse with greater force, crushing their cores into neutron stars, objects so compact that a teaspoon of their matter would weigh as much as a mountain. The most massive among them fold space-time entirely, becoming black holes, silent wells where even light cannot return. And yet, in each of these fates, the story of the star continues, written across the fabric of everything that follows. The material it once carried, carbon, oxygen, iron, and gold, does not disappear. Those elements scattered through the interstellar medium, mixing with clouds of gas, seeding the birth of new stars and planets. Every grain of dust on Earth, every breath you take, every heartbeat that warms you, contains atoms that were once part of an ancient star. The universe recycles its light endlessly, transforming what was into what will be. In that sense, the death of a star is not destruction, but renewal. It is how the universe remembers itself. Each supernova, each whisper of expelled gas, each slow cooling ember adds a note to the cosmic memory. The light that once illuminated worlds now becomes their foundation. The oceans of our planet shimmer with hydrogen that once burned at the heart of suns. The iron in our blood was forged in the cores of dying giants. You are not separate from the stars. You are their continuation, their memory made conscious. So when you look up at the night sky and see the faint shimmer of starlight, remember that it is not only the light of what still exists, but also of what has already transformed. Even when a star collapses, its essence travels onward, into planets, into oceans, into the quiet rhythm of life. In this great cycle, nothing truly ends. Everything becomes. There is a force that never announces itself, Yet it holds everything you know together. The earth turns around the sun, the moon circles the earth, and your body rests gently against the ground, all because of gravity, the invisible thread that keeps the universe in quiet balance. It is not loud or commanding, but steady and familiar, a constant reminder that everything belongs somewhere. Without it, the planets would scatter, the tides would vanish, and even the warmth of the sun would drift beyond reach. Gravity does not push or pull as much as it connects. It gives structure to the cosmos, stitching worlds into systems and systems into galaxies. The same force that holds moons in orbit keeps your feet on the ground. The same longing that binds the stars also holds hearts in place. Every object, no matter how distant or small, exerts its own influence, shaping the dance of everything around it. Astronomers call this the universal law of attraction, but it feels less like law and more like quiet devotion, a promise written into the geometry of being. Look up, and you can see it working without a sound. The Earth's oceans rise and fall each day because the moon's gravity draws them closer, a slow rhythm that keeps time with the planet's rotation. Far beyond, the sun's pull extends across billions of kilometers, holding the planets in their paths with perfect precision. Even the smallest asteroid, the faintest speck of dust, follows an orbit, a motion that says, "I am part of something larger." Here on the ground, gravity defines your every step. You may not feel its strength, but it gives you weight, presence, and belonging. It shapes the way you move, the way rain falls, the way rivers flow toward the sea. Every breath you take, every moment you stand still, you are in conversation with it, balanced between falling and being held. The universe, through gravity, is always in touch with you. And perhaps this connection runs deeper than physics. In a way, every closeness between people mirrors the same pull that keeps planets bound to their stars. Relationships, too, have orbits, invisible paths defined by warmth, trust, and distance. Some move closer, some drift apart, yet all are shaped by the quiet gravity of care. What keeps us near one another is not force but resonance, the simple recognition that our emotions are intertwined. So much of existence depends on this invisible weight, the patient balance between freedom and attachment. The cosmos holds itself together not through command, but through gentle attraction. Everything that moves, from the fall of an apple to the turning of galaxies, follows that same subtle pull. It is the universe's way of saying, you are not alone, you are part of its orbit. Every closeness, in the end, is a kind of gravity. From a distance, the planets seem to move with perfect grace, steady, unchanging, suspended in the vast calm of space. But in truth, they are never still. Each one is falling endlessly, drawn toward the sun by gravity's quiet pull. Yet none of them ever reach it. The speed of their motion keeps them in balance, a perpetual descent that curves instead of collides. The Earth never stops falling. It simply falls around the sun forever. To fall, in this sense, is not failure but harmony. The Earth's path is a balance between surrender and motion. Gravity pulls inward while velocity carries forward. The result is orbit, a loop so perfect it feels like stillness, though it is anything but. Every planet, every moon, every fragment of dust is caught in this same rhythm, falling and floating at once, forever tracing the shape of its connection. This quiet motion has been unfolding since the beginning. When the solar system was young, gravity gathered gas and dust into clumps that grew heavy and began to spin. The faster they turned, the more they flattened into disks, their edges curved by momentum. From this spinning, falling motion came everything. The planets, their moons, the comets that still wander between them. Every world in the sky is a continuation of that first fall, a long, slow surrender to gravity's design. Even light is not immune to this dance. When it passes near a massive object, its path bends slightly, drawn by the same invisible field that guides the planets. It too falls through space, tracing gentle arcs around stars and galaxies before continuing on. To the universe, falling is simply the natural shape of movement, a way for everything to remain connected without collision, a pattern that endures beyond comprehension. On Earth, you live within that same motion. As the planet falls around the sun, you are carried along, falling through space at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. Yet you feel none of it. The air, the oceans, the mountains all fall together, perfectly synchronized. You walk, rest, and breathe in a world that is constantly moving, and still it feels calm. Perhaps that is the universe's greatest illusion, that falling can feel like floating when the motion is shared. There is something deeply human in this cosmic truth. Life too is a long fall, not downward, but inward, toward understanding. Every choice, every change, every breath is a quiet surrender to the forces that shape you. We spend our lives orbiting moments, people, and memories, always drawn toward something, always carried by momentum. The art lies not in resisting, but in learning to fall gracefully, to move with the curve instead of against it. Some falls never end, and that is their beauty. The planets have been falling for billions of years, and in their descent, they have found balance. To exist within gravity is to move endlessly and to trust the shape that guides you. In the silent choreography of the cosmos, falling is not a loss. It is the gentlest way of staying in motion. Every system in the universe, from the smallest pair of orbiting rocks to the grandest spiral of galaxies, turns around a shared point of balance. Astronomers call it the barycenter, the center of mass where all gravitational pools come into harmony. It is not always where the largest object sits. Sometimes it lies somewhere in between, suspended in emptiness, perfectly still, while everything else moves around it. The sun itself does not sit motionless at the center of our solar system. It too wobbles gently, drawn by the weight of its planets. Even the mightiest light must bow to balance. In this cosmic stillness, the universe shows its discipline. For every pull, there is a counterpull. For every movement, a quiet resistance that restores equilibrium. The stars and their companions revolve endlessly around invisible points, guided by the unspoken agreement that motion must be shared. It is a delicate choreography, an infinite dance performed in silence, where everything knows where to be without instruction. You can see this balance reflected everywhere. The moon circles the earth, raising tides that tug back in return. The earth circles the sun, whose own center trembles ever so slightly in response. Even the Milky Way and its companion galaxies revolve around one another in a slow, measured spiral, each orbit defined by an invisible center that belongs to both. There is no single ruler, no fixed anchor, only a relationship held together by the patience of gravity. Within that balance lies a kind of peace. The still point at the center of motion is not empty, but full of quiet coordination, of understanding between forces that could so easily collide, but choose instead to coexist. It is the eye of a cosmic storm where everything turns, yet nothing is lost. The deeper one looks into the structure of the universe, the more it resembles a meditation. Movement surrounding stillness, energy wrapped around calm. And just like the stars, we too revolve around our own centers. Every life carries a barycenter, that quiet point where thoughts, emotions, and desires find temporary harmony. The world around us shifts constantly, but there is always a place inside that remains unmoved, where the mind can rest even as the body continues in motion. Balance is not the absence of change. It is the art of moving without falling, of spinning without losing the center. The universe reminds us that stillness is not something apart from motion, but something hidden within it. Every orbit, every heartbeat, every wave is an echo of that lesson. To exist is to turn, to be pulled, to find your equilibrium again and again. The galaxies do not struggle against their gravity. They surrender to it gracefully, and somewhere between their spirals and our breaths, there is the same quiet truth that stillness is always there, waiting at the center of every motion. Time is often imagined as a river, flowing steadily from the past into the future. But in truth, it is not a line that moves. It is a dimension that holds. Every moment that has ever existed still lingers somewhere within the vast fabric of space-time. The universe does not erase its history. It keeps it folded, carefully woven into its structure. What we call the present is merely the point where we touch that fabric, the surface of an endless tapestry that stretches in all directions, forward, backward, and beyond. Physicists describe time as the fourth dimension, inseparable from space itself. Together, they form space-time, a single continuum where every event, every movement, every heartbeat has a place. In this view, the past does not vanish behind us, and the future does not yet appear ahead. Both already exist, layered and intertwined. We move through this structure not as travelers passing from one moment to another, but as observers walking through a gallery of frozen frames, each moment complete, each one eternal in its own way. If you could see time as it truly is, it would not look like a river, but like a woven field, with threads of events intersecting and folding around each other. The light that left a distant star 1 billion years ago still travels toward us, carrying a message from an age when Earth was only dust. Somewhere in that journey, our present meets its ancient glow. You and that long-vanished star share a connection, not through distance, but through time itself, the fabric that binds you both to the same continuum. Even memory follows this cosmic law. When you recall something long past, your mind is not recreating the event. It is revisiting the coordinates it once occupied. The neurons that fire in your brain are echoes of their earlier patterns, reactivating a point that still exists within spacetime's web. Memory in that sense, is a small act of time travel, an inward motion through the threads of what has already been. What we remember is not gone. It has only changed its form. Perhaps that is why nostalgia feels both sweet and infinite. To remember is to touch the folds of the universe, to brush your hand against the seams where moments meet. Every joy, every sorrow, every fleeting second remains somewhere, suspended in that quiet dimension, waiting to be found again by thought or by light or by gravity's slow curve. Nothing truly passes. Everything simply becomes part of the greater pattern. The past is not gone. It is simply folded behind us. Each breath, each glance, each flicker of awareness joins the eternal weave. The universe does not move forward through time. It holds it tenderly, all at once. And so does everything within it. Every moment, no matter how brief, is already part of forever. Time does not move at the same pace for everyone. It bends gently, hesitates, and stretches according to where you stand and how fast you move. To the universe, time is not strict but supple. It listens to motion and gravity, adjusting itself with quiet generosity. When an object travels near the speed of light, its internal clock ticks more slowly. When it falls deep into a gravitational well, time around it lingers, reluctant to pass. Even clocks obey gravity's patience. Time waits differently for everyone. Einstein first revealed this truth through his theory of relativity. A simple yet profound idea that time and space are intertwined and that both are shaped by speed and gravity. The faster you move, the slower your time flows compared to someone standing still. Near a massive object, like a planet or a star, gravity warps space-time so that seconds lengthen, expanding like ripples slowing in deep water. What feels normal to one observer may already be a pause to another. This is not just theory. We have measured it. High above Earth, the satellites that guide our navigation feel time slightly differently than we do below. Because they orbit farther from the planet's gravity, their clocks tick a little faster. On the ground, where gravity is stronger, time moves a fraction slower. The difference is tiny, mere billionths of a second. But it is enough to shift the accuracy of GPS systems across continents. To keep the world aligned, engineers must adjust for the stretching and slowing of time, ensuring that all moments remain connected. What this means is that every second is personal. Time does not pass evenly across the cosmos. It listens to circumstance. It slows for the traveler, quickens for the observer, and hums in quiet balance for everything in between. This is the universe's way of being kind, allowing each thing, from a falling stone to a distant satellite, to live at its own pace. The rhythm of existence is not enforced. It is shared, adapted, and accepted. If time could speak, it would not rush you. It would say, "Take your time. The universe will wait." The galaxies spin slowly, the stars burn for eons, and even light, the fastest traveler, moves with composure. Everything in the cosmos unfolds in its own tempo, guided by the same gentle patience that governs the movement of clocks. You, too, are part of that pattern. Your heart beats in its own cadence, your thoughts move at their own speed, and still, somehow, you remain in harmony with all that surrounds you. Perhaps that is what it means to live well, not to measure time by its passing, but to feel its shape as it bends around you. To slow down is not to fall behind. It is to align with the universe, to find the rhythm that already holds you. Somewhere between gravity and motion, between hurry and stillness, lies a truth, both scientific and human. Time moves differently for everyone, and that difference is what keeps everything in tune. There is no single now that belongs to everyone. In the language of physics, the present is not a universal moment, but a shifting surface, a wave crest moving through the ocean of space-time. What you call this instant is yours alone, shaped by where you are, how you move, and what you feel. For someone drifting far away, light years across the cosmos, your now has not yet arrived. The universe does not march in perfect synchrony. It hums in layers, each vibration unfolding at its own pace. Scientists describe this as the relativity of simultaneity. The idea that two events that seem to happen at the same time for one observer may not for another. If lightning strikes at both ends of a moving train, passengers inside and those watching from the ground will disagree on which came first. Each perception is correct within its frame of reference. There is no single present, only many overlapping threads of time, each one true from where it is seen. The moment you are living in is not fixed. It is a place on a curve, unique and unrepeatable. Perhaps this is why the present feels so fleeting, because it never stands still. It is constantly being created and replaced, dissolving as quickly as it appears. Every thought, every breath, every flicker of light arrives already passing. To live, then, is to travel across an unending series of instants, each one carrying the memory of the last and the potential of the next. The present is not something to hold. It is something to experience, a balance between remembering and becoming. When you stop trying to trap time, peace begins to unfold. The need to cling to the moment is what makes it vanish. The universe teaches a gentler way, to let each instant flow through you like wind across a field, touching but never staying. The same force that pulled stars through the galaxy carries your heartbeat, your breath, your quiet thoughts. Existence is not a sequence of fixed points, but a rhythm, an endless transition between what was and what might be. There is comfort in knowing that nothing stands still, not even time itself. Every second that slips away becomes part of something larger, feeding the continuity of all that is. You are not losing moments. You are moving with them as the planets move with gravity and light moves with the curve of space. In that flow, there is belonging. The present is not a destination, but a passage, a shimmering crest between memory and possibility. And so to be at peace is not to stop the river, but to float upon it, to breathe, to listen, to exist in this changing current. That is the closest we ever come to stillness. Time never stays, but it never leaves you either. It moves through you gently, carrying every version of who you've been and all that you are still becoming. If you look deep enough into the night, past the stars that shimmer faintly at the edge of sight, you will notice something remarkable. Everything is moving away. Not just the stars, but entire galaxies, clusters of countless suns, all drifting apart through an ocean of widening darkness. It's not because they are pushing against one another, nor because they wish to be alone. The very fabric of space between them is stretching gently, continuously, like a long, patient breath. The universe is expanding and has been since the moment it began. Astronomers call this the Hubble flow, a discovery that reshaped how humanity understands existence. In the 1920s, Edwin Hubble observed that light from distant galaxies was shifted toward the red end of the spectrum, a sign that they were moving away from us. The farther a galaxy lay, the faster it seemed to recede. From this, scientists concluded that it was not galaxies flying through space, but space itself growing larger, carrying everything with it like dots on an inflating balloon. Every second, the distances between galaxies stretch a little more, and the universe becomes slightly more spacious, slightly more silent. This expansion does not tear the universe apart. It sustains it. Within galaxies, stars still orbit their centers, held close by gravity's embrace. The stretching happens between galaxies, in the great cosmic voids where light takes billions of years to cross. On that scale, separation is not a sign of decay, but of evolution. The universe's way of continuing to breathe, to make room for everything it contains. Even the gaps, the cold and quiet distances are part of its balance. It is tempting to see this growing distance as loneliness, to imagine that the galaxies are drifting apart like old friends losing touch. But the truth is gentler. Expansion is how the cosmos keeps harmony, each thing moving at its own pace, yet remaining part of the same whole. The further galaxies move, the more they preserve one another's silence, allowing each to shine without collision. Even separation is part of the rhythm that keeps the universe alive. If you could stand outside of time and watch this unfolding from above, you would see not chaos, but grace. Everything receding in slow motion, yet perfectly ordered. The universe is not running away from itself. It is unfolding like a flower opening toward infinite space. And though the galaxies drift farther apart, their light continues to reach us, crossing the widening void to tell us that they were once close, that they still remember. In that light, there is no sadness, only continuity. The expanding sky is not a farewell, but a song of endurance, a quiet promise that change and connection can coexist. The stars may drift apart, but the space between them is still shared, still humming with the same ancient rhythm. The universe expands not in anger, but in rhythm, breathing outward softly, forever. There is a presence in the universe that no telescope can see, no instrument can hold. It does not shine like a star or curve space like matter. It is silent, invisible, and everywhere. Astronomers call it dark energy, the mysterious force that drives the expansion of the universe to quicken with time. What began as a gentle widening after the Big Bang now stretches faster and faster, as if space itself were learning to run. And yet, the hand behind this acceleration remains unseen. For decades, scientists thought that gravity, the patient sculptor of the cosmos, would one day slow the universe's growth. But when they looked deeper into the night, they saw the opposite. Distant galaxies were not just moving away, they were speeding up. Something vast and unaccounted for was pushing them apart. Something stronger than gravity, something that filled the void with quiet insistence. When astronomers measured the energy content of the cosmos, they found that ordinary matter, the stars, planets, and everything we can see, made up less than 5% of it. The rest was invisible. About 27% was dark matter, unseen mass that binds galaxies together. But nearly 70% was dark energy, a kind of cosmic pressure woven into the very structure of space. No one knows exactly what dark energy is. Some think it is an inherent property of space itself, a constant that causes the vacuum to expand. Others imagine it as a field that changes over time, like a slow breath across eternity. Whatever it may be, it fills every corner of existence, from the smallest distance between atoms to the endless void between galaxies. It is not light, yet it moves light. Not mass, yet it moves worlds. It is the whisper that keeps everything drifting outward, ensuring the universe never collapses back into silence. And in that mystery lies a lesson, that the strongest forces are often the quietest. The universe is held and guided by something we cannot see, just as human life is shaped by things that have no form: trust, memory, love, belief. These too are invisible energies, yet they move through us, altering the paths we take, the warmth we share, the orbits of our relationships. What we do not see still defines us, the way dark energy defines the fate of galaxies. Perhaps this is the cosmos reminding us that invisibility does not mean absence. The unseen can be powerful, gentle, and constant, the silent current beneath everything that changes. Every heartbeat, every connection, every act of kindness echoes that same law of nature, that what is felt more than seen often shapes the greater whole. If you could listen closely enough, beyond the hum of stars and the pulse of radiation, you might hear it. The faint exhale of space itself, expanding, breathing, carrying everything farther but never apart. The universe does not rush, it unfolds. And somewhere within that unfolding dark energy hums, unseen, unending, quietly reminding us that even the invisible can carry the strongest pull. Between the islands of stars, there stretches an ocean of almost nothing, a vast and silent wilderness that fills most of the universe. It is colder than imagination allows, emptier than any place on Earth could ever be. In those distances between galaxies, there are only a few lonely atoms scattered across volumes larger than clusters of worlds. Yet this emptiness is not truly empty. It hums faintly with the residue of creation, a background glow that has lingered since the first light was born. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. Long before galaxies formed, before stars ignited, the universe was a hot, radiant mist. As it expanded and cooled, the light from that early fire spread outward and softened, stretching over billions of years into faint microwaves that now fill all of space. This ancient light surrounds everything, invisible to the eye but detectable to sensitive instruments. Even in the coldest darkness between galaxies, that gentle radiation persists, like the fading echo of a song that once began everything. To drift through that space would be to enter a silence beyond sound, a calm so complete it borders on sacred. No wind, no pressure, no vibration. Only the slow passage of photons, each one a tiny messenger from the dawn of time. The temperature there is only a few degrees above absolute zero, where motion nearly stops. It is the stillness that follows creation, the pause that allows the universe to breathe, and perhaps that quiet serves a purpose. Between every pulse, there must be rest. Between every star, a space to recover. The void between galaxies is not a failure or an absence. It is balance. It gives structure to the universe, defining where light can shine and where gravity can gather. The darkness between things is what lets them exist separately, yet beautifully connected. In the same way, the pauses in our lives, the moments of solitude and reflection, give meaning to all that moves. Silence does not erase the song, it lets it linger. So much of the cosmos is built from what seems empty. The spaces between particles, between breaths, between thoughts, all of it holds quiet energy, waiting, sustaining. What we call nothingness is the background that allows everything else to glow. The stars burn brightly because there is darkness to hold them. Galaxies dance freely because there is room to move. In the deep dark between stars, silence becomes the shape of peace. It is not a lonely place, but a necessary one, where the echoes of creation still murmur softly, reminding us that even emptiness hums with memory. The universe rests there, vast and patient, content in its own stillness. And in that stillness, everything finds its place. Every heartbeat you feel began long before you were born, not in a cradle or a womb, but in the core of a star. Billions of years ago, deep within furnaces of unimaginable pressure and heat, the first atoms of carbon, oxygen, and iron were forged. Stars burn by fusing hydrogen into heavier elements, and when their lives end in vast, luminous explosions, those elements are scattered through space. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your lungs, all of it was created in those ancient fires. You are quite literally made of stardust. After each generation of stars lived and died, their ashes drifted across the dark, gathering into new clouds, new suns, new worlds. Over time, one of those clouds became the Earth, a planet woven from the remnants of 1,000 vanished stars. Water condensed, carbon formed chains, and life began to stir. From those beginnings came everything you know: the breath of forests, the salt of the sea, the pulse that echoes quietly in your chest. The story of your body is the story of the cosmos remembering itself, arranged for a brief moment into thought and movement. Scientists can trace this connection precisely. Every element heavier than hydrogen and helium, gold, copper, nitrogen, and more, was born inside stars or in the violence of their deaths. When a supernova explodes, it seeds space with those atoms, creating the raw material for planets and people alike. The dust that drifted through interstellar space billions of years ago is now the fabric of your hands, your voice, your memories. You are, in every sense, the universe made conscious. It is humbling and beautiful to think that the atoms composing your mind once belonged to things that glowed, that collapsed, that died, so something new could live. Each heartbeat is a rhythm the cosmos taught you. Each breath, an echo of stellar winds. When you look up at the night sky, you are not separate from it. You are seeing yourself in another form, shining, distant, ancient. The boundary between you and the stars is only a matter of arrangement. And yet, among all the patterns the universe has ever created, nebulae, galaxies, the endless swirl of time, only in beings like you does it pause to notice its own reflection. The universe, through you, has learned to wonder. It has given itself eyes to look back and a heart to feel awe at its own design. The iron in your blood once pulsed in the heart of a star. The same light that travels between galaxies flows quietly beneath your skin. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are its continuation, its awareness, its voice. You are starlight remembering itself. The universe, briefly awake, breathing softly through a heartbeat of dust and fire. Inside your skull, billions of tiny sparks flicker every second. Each one is a pulse of electricity, smaller than a raindrop, faster than light could cross a room. Together, they weave thought, patterns of energy forming memory, imagination, and awareness. The human brain runs on electricity, the same fundamental energy that lights the stars and flows through every atom in the universe. When you think, the universe trembles a little, a spark within its own reflection. Every neuron in your brain communicates through electric impulses that leap across tiny gaps called synapses. These signals are carried by charged particles, the same kind that once danced through cosmic storms and magnetic fields at the dawn of time. From their motion, your thoughts emerge as intricate and dynamic as galaxies. Scientists can map these signals, tracing how patterns of energy ripple through the brain. But no instrument can fully capture what it feels like to be aware. Consciousness is not merely a mechanism. It is the cosmos folded inward, looking back upon itself. Consider what that means. The same physical laws that govern the motion of planets and the life of stars also govern the rhythm of your mind. Every idea you form, every dream you have, is built from the same electricity that animates the universe. When lightning strikes, it is a release of the same power that flows silently in your neurons. When starlight travels across the void, it hums with the same photons that deep within your brain carry the energy of thought. The universe does not merely surround you, it continues through you. This connection makes the act of thinking something sacred. Your mind is not separate from nature. It is one of its most delicate instruments. The waves of your brain echo cosmic rhythms, slow, calm oscillations when you sleep, quicker, brighter ones when you dream or create. Even when you sit in silence, the electrical tides within you shimmer like distant galaxies turning. You are both observer and participant, mirror and light, reflecting a universe that has learned to know itself, to meditate, to breathe slowly, to quiet your thoughts. These are not escapes from the world, but reunions with it. When your mind settles, its waves begin to align with the gentle pulse of the Earth's magnetic field, with the low hum of cosmic background radiation that fills all of space. In those moments, you are no longer a separate consciousness adrift in matter. You are harmony itself, awareness floating in its natural rhythm. So the next time your thoughts feel heavy or restless, remember the truth written in every neuron, that you are made of light, powered by the same energy that holds galaxies together. The brain is not just a collection of cells. It is a quiet mirror turning starlight into understanding, translating the hum of the universe into the language of thought. When you think, you do not stand apart from the cosmos. You are its whisper, its reflection, its way of wondering what it means to exist. Beyond the edge of every telescope, past the faintest light our instruments can catch, the universe continues, vast, silent, and possibly without end. Astronomers do not yet know if space is finite, curving back on itself like a sphere, or if it stretches forever, an endless ocean of galaxies drifting through time. What we do know is that no matter how far we look, there's always more. More light, more distance, more wonder. Infinity is not a wall, but a horizon that keeps unfolding. It can feel overwhelming to think of it. This immeasurable expanse where billions of galaxies each hold billions of stars. Within such immensity, our world seems impossibly small, and each of us just a flicker. Yet this smallness is not something to fear. It is proof that we belong. Every point in the universe, no matter how tiny, is part of its structure, its geometry, its music. You do not stand outside the infinite. You are inside it, carried by its rhythm, a note within its endless song. Scientists have long searched for the shape of the universe. Some believe it is flat, extending infinitely in all directions. Others think it may curve back upon itself, creating a cosmic loop where space and time eventually meet again. Whichever is true, the meaning is the same. We live within something so vast that it defies every boundary. And still, we are able to see it, to feel awe before it, to wonder. Awareness is how the infinite becomes intimate, how the universe experiences its own immensity through our small eyes and fragile hearts. When you gaze at the night sky, you are not looking into emptiness. You are looking into connection. The light that reaches you has crossed billions of years, and yet it finds you here now, breathing and awake. The vastness does not erase you. It completes you. Infinity is not chaos. It is structure so immense it appears still. Within it, every planet, every star, every thought has a place. To be small is not to be insignificant. It is to be necessary, to play one quiet part in the grand design. Infinity teaches humility, but also peace. You do not need to understand it to belong to it. The universe doesn't ask for meaning. It offers it freely, through the sheer fact of your existence. Somewhere in its endless expanse, you were given the gift of awareness, of seeing and feeling. And that is enough. We are not lost in infinity. We are held by it. Every silence, every star, every breath is a thread in its pattern. The more we let go of the need to measure it, the more we feel its calm. The infinite is not beyond you. It is within you, reflected in your thoughts, your pulse, your being. To be small is to be part of everything, and to realize that truth is to find peace in the boundless night. Maybe your thoughts are still wandering, tracing slow circles through the dark. That's all right. The universe has always needed dreamers, gentle travelers drifting between what is known and what might be. Tonight, you've followed the quiet threads of light and gravity through time and memory, all the way back to yourself. Everything you've heard, the hum of atoms, the patience of stars, the silence between galaxies, is still happening now, still breathing somewhere out there. You don't have to hold on to it. Let every image, every idea dissolve into calm. The universe is wide enough to keep them for you. Beyond your window, the stars are still burning softly, the same ones that made you. Their light has crossed ages just to touch your eyes. And now it rests here with you. You are safe in the arms of the universe. Sleep well among the stars.